Hi, welcome to the Women of Artful Flavours podcast, presented by the Youth Mill. You will hear about the lifestyle joys and pitfalls from the young Indigenous women living in a contemporary world and listen to our perspective of walking in two worlds, white and black. This is a platform for Aboriginal women to tell our stories and express our views on current issues and how they affect us as young Indigenous women. My name is Shania Tipungwuri. I'm from the Tiwi Islands, and I'm usually here with my friend Babylon Williams from Kakadu, but she's having some downtime right now. We are both boarding students from Haileybury Rendell School here in Darwin, and today we have invited Margaret Lim, the founder of the Youth Mill, to discuss why and how the Youth Mill started, as well as the importance of the Women of Artful Flavours program. Margaret Lim has an artistic background, from being a classically trained dancer, working both with ballet and commercially around the world. She then moved on to become a renowned artistic director for companies such as Gulf Air, Etihad Airlines and Ferrari. And now she's here working with us mob. So welcome, and how did that happen, Margaret? How did you get here?
Well, firstly, hello to you. Probably one of the best things I've ever done in my life is be here with you, mob. My days are never predictable and they're happy every day. I had been living in Paris, working as an artistic director. When I came back to Australia, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and a friend of mine, a psychologist and counsellor, was doing some work for the Commission for Children and Young People in Melbourne. And she said, Margaret, you'd be amazing working with these kids and just motivating them and inspiring them and working out what's going on in the system. Why don't you meet with the Commission? So I did. That same day I went home and made an appointment to meet the Commissioner and the board. From there, I ended up going into youth justice centres and writing reports on behalf of the Commission for Children and Young People about the injustices that were occurring. I went back to university and studied social work, so I had an understanding of the system, not to become a social worker, just an understanding. So I was going into the centres about 3 times a week and just observing and writing reports. Every second week, the young people who were about to be released would be going up to the parole board, and I would do interviews with those young people, and it gave me amazing insight into where the system was really failing these young people as individuals. So I started setting up programs, and because I find what happens with these young people, there's a lack of support and a lack of follow through. So I just wanted to give them some follow through when they did get out of the justice centres. So just making sure that they had homes, which is what the caseworkers do. But I was an extra person for them. So I went out and I got some money for 2 coffee machines. I set up hospitalities and I got some really good chefs to come and work with the young people and teach them basic hospitality and food handling skills. And of course, I had the music program, which I ran once a week, but also had a little recording studio. Melbourne's very different to Darwin. There's a lot of young people in the juvenile justice centres down there and very multicultural. So I had a lot of South Sudanese young people that were extraordinarily talented, and a lot of Samoan people, which they have beautiful, beautiful voices. So I started working with these young people, and because I was seeing them on the inside and I was seeing them through my programs, I started to see some of them come through my programs a lot more than I was seeing them locked up inside with that recidivistic behavioural pattern. It seemed to be starting to break that. So the Youth Mill started then. That was 10 years ago. I was invited to do some program development in Alice Springs. I didn't want to stay in Alice Springs. I kept coming up to Darwin, and eventually I moved here, and that's when it all started happening for me. I applied to federal government and received 2 years federal funding thanks to the Indigenous Language and Arts Department. I saw the importance of working with young people like yourself. The Women of Artful Flavours is really important to me, Shania, especially for someone like you. You're a community girl. You're very strong with family ties, and you're very, very proud of who you are. Being at Haileybury Rendell must be good for you. You're getting the education, but are you getting understood as an Indigenous woman, do you feel, at the school?
Well, Haileybury Rendell is the first Haileybury college to have Indigenous boarding students. And I feel like the first year was pretty rough since they kind of didn't know how to deal with us because of our culture and how different it is here in the NT compared to how it is in Melbourne. But I feel like they're doing their best to get there and understand us.
Yeah, accommodate your needs.
Yeah.
And it really is about understanding both, isn't it? Them understanding you and you understanding them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's about 80 boarding house students there, isn't there?
Yeah, around about that.
And how many communities do you think they would come from? Because they're predominantly Indigenous?
So probably 30 plus. In the past, we had kids from Queensland, WA, all over the NT.
How do you find that being with so many different communities? Do you learn a lot of the knowledge?
Yeah, you get to see how other people's cultures are and how different and similar it is from yours. It's pretty good to be around that kind of environment.
Yeah, sitting around talking about different foods, different languages and
dances and customs.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
For me, I see all those really strong, beautiful connections. Do you feel that you get to express your culture being at Haileybury Rendell?
There's not a lot of, let's say, like programs for us to kind of do that because, again, they're still learning how to do that, but I'm grateful to be a part of the youth mill as I'm able to express my culture and who I am through the program. I'm very grateful to be part of it. We get to do a lot of cultural performances with the youth mill. The most recent one we did was at the entertainment centre. It was a culturally and classical music, an emerge of that. And I really like that because just kind of merging these two different cultures and two different ideas, it's a good thing to do. I know a lot of people, it'll appeal to a lot of people because I know that our culture here in the NT, all the Indigenous cultures, is something that's very intriguing to others. And being able to showcase that is a good thing.
I agree. It's like that real Indigenous classical fusion and we are all in this world together and it's how we live together and respect each other and learn from each other.
Oh, we also did on Tuesday, just on Tuesday, we did a performance about the system in front of court judges, 25 court judges, I think it was.
Yeah.
We got to talk about how we feel about the system, the justice system, and the things that affect our young people here in Darwin. Yeah, it was very good for me to kind of give my ideas and my views on how the things I've seen growing up, I guess, and for the other people that were there too.
I agree, Shania. It was a really good opportunity for the four of you to speak to the judges about how you feel and what is happening with your lives and the lives of young people around you. And it was moving for many of the judges, and it was a great opportunity for all of us, for them, for us, for you. I feel personally I learn from you guys and your families every day. And when I sit with you, I learn so much from you when you talk to me about just the things that have been passed on to you.
Yeah.
One of the things that you told me the other day was your name Tippenwoody. Tell me that story.
Oh, yeah. So this is what my family have told me. So my last name, Tippenwoody, that last name was given to my family during missionary days. So our real last name is Tampu. And when I first found that out, I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy because there probably are other names that have been given to Tiwi people and they were kind of forced to drop their last name or their old last name. But I'm glad to know that kind of history of it, I guess.
Yeah, so white man made up the name Tippenwoody and made up other names that made them sound like Indigenous names.
Yeah, when they're not.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Mm. Yeah, and a lot of people have had their original names taken away from them. Yeah. You got Smith and Brown.
Yeah.
Do you think that you get to do a lot of sport and out time activities while you're at the boarding house? Do they take you on excursions, encourage you to do extracurricular activities?
Yeah, they do highly encourage us to take on outside activities out of school, you know.
Yeah.
I do netball and I'm part of the youth mill, so that takes up a lot of my time out of school, and I'm kind of glad to get out of school environment sometimes because it can be a bit much and stressful.
I'm really looking forward to the next performance that we've got coming up, because that's a virtual welcome to country performance that's going to be viewed all over the world. And I think that's the way we're going to be going from now on. We won't be having many live performances in Darwin. We're fortunate.
I'm pretty excited about that too, because I guess we're able to show our cultural identity worldwide. Just showcasing that is going to be very interesting to do.
I agree. I try to make my programs very much about cultural maintenance and support for Indigenous young people and the knowledge around Indigenous culture.
Thanks, Margaret. Thank you for supporting our mob. I've enjoyed talking with you today, and I'll see you next Tuesday at the Beats of Culture program. And thank you for listening. We look forward to you joining us on our fortnightly podcast, where we get to discuss relevant issues. My name is Shania Tipungwuri.